People who lost their jobs by going off on a customer. What is your story? I was lucky I didn't lose my job for this one. I worked at a furniture store as a sales associate. One day a husband and wife come in wanting to furnish their son's apartment that's going to college. They find all of the furniture pieces they want, and I go to check stock on multiple items. Everything is in, except the tabletop on the dining room set they wanted. I go back and tell the couple. The husband throws an absolute hissy fit saying that he can't believe that we don't keep our products stocked. Keep in mind that we are a huge furniture store. I calmly explained to him that we can't possibly keep all of our product in stock at all times, and since the dining room table he wanted was a very popular set due to the fact it was $199.99, it tended to go out of stock rather quickly, so we would have to wait for that vendor to send us the tabletop, which was about 2 weeks. I even tried to show them another tabletop that was in stock that was very similar to the one they picked out, and he would not have it. He started telling me that I was incompetent, and how dare I insult him. How? I have no idea. He starts increasing his volume and now he is full out screaming at me about 10 inches away from my face. My manager walks from around the corner and looks at me questioningly like the "do you got this" face. I nodded at him that I had it, but he continued to stand within earshot. I then looked back to the customer and said in a nonchalant tone, "I'm not going to help you. In fact, no one here is going to help you. Now please get out of my store." The customer looks at me bewildered and in full set rage and demands to speak with my manager. Since my manager is standing right around the corner, he had heard everything. He goes over to the customer and says, "Well, you heard the lady. I miss working there." Oh man, I've been dying to tell this story for a while now. Although it doesn't pertain to someone getting fired, it does have some justice. A friend and I go to a store, let's make it up, and call it Walmart. We're in line at the registers when this middle-aged lady in front of us is trying to use some expired coupons. The cashier is telling her the coupons can be used. Mind you, these coupons would save her $4. A fact that I realized after this entire ordeal. Lady wasn't having it and just starts insulting and yelling the cashier as if it's their fault the coupons expired. And not smuggish insults like "no wonder you work here," but some deep cutting stuff like "you should kill yourself if you can't override and accept them." Like WTF. This beach was out for blood for $4 ducking dollars. That's when my friend, Hoss, a former Marine, steps in and reams back into her. The exchange went something like, "Tim, whoa. How dare you disrespect this young cashier like that? The hell is wrong with you to say things like that to her? You're a messed up person, bitch. Mind your business and don't raise your voice at me." Him, "Oh, so now you know that raising your voice is disrespectful. Where was that consideration when you did it to her? Stop talking to me or I'll get my husband here to handle you." Tim, "What husband? You don't even have a wedding ring on." That's probably the problem there. You're so bitter and lonely you take it out on other people. You're messed up. They exchange more comments and it ended with her storming out of the store without her items and on the verge of tears. I guess we attracted too much attention because we were asked to leave by the manager, but not before the cashier quietly thanked us. Reading through these comments, I realize that not very many Redditors have not worked in a fast food restaurant in any ghetto areas. Arguments were an everyday thing where I worked. As the manager at KFC, I know, I'm a big shot. I encouraged my employees to stick up for themselves. More than once a day, it'd have people coming in attempting to rip us off or get more food than what they paid for, then insulting and even attacking me at times. The only reason I quit is because I had cooks and cashiers who were making more than me. But yeah, that job was pretty much a free-for-all when it came to shitty customers. I used to cut hair. I was cutting a lady's hair when the child of lady waiting started running around the shop. I told the child several times to go sit with her mother and asked her mother to please keep her child seated next to her. Well, in the middle of cutting around my client's ear, the child ran into my work area, ran into me, and almost caused me to cut my client. I looked at the child and firmly said, "You need to go sit down with your mother now." Well, her mom didn't like that and came running back to me and yelled, "Don't tell my child what to do. I'm her parent." I responded with "Then act like it." She glared at me, grabbed her child and stormed out. Everyone in the shop was relieved the child had left. A few days later the owner came and tried to fire me for it, but luckily there were enough other stylists and clients that came to my defense about the danger of the situation and I only got a write-up. Many a year ago I worked at a home improvement store called Menards. I was a cart pusher, which was nice as I was outside all the time. Anyway, we gather about 25 to 30 shopping carts together and push them up to the entrance where they are stored inside. Now to get them there we do have to cross the main drive of the parking lot in front of the store. We always stop and let customers drive by. So as I push the carts up I stop because I see a guy in a pretty nice SUV. He is actually stopped in front of the entrance. Maybe he dropped someone off, I do not know. So I'm waiting to see if he drives off, and he then looks at me and waves me across. Looks like he wanted to finish a call he had gotten or something. So I wave back and start pushing the carts across. I'm on the other side when some clips me across the shoulder blades, and it stung somewhat and pushed me forward. And at the same time I heard glass shatter. I turn around and the guy in the south clipped me with his side view mirror. It had swung closed and shattered the window and the door, and I'm just standing there wide-eyed. 2 seconds later the guy gets out of his car swearing up a storm at me and how I'm a low-life piece of shit and how I'm going to pay for a new window and that I'm not going to get anywhere in life because I broke his window. Now I'm the type of person that, if I was the reason, I'll take the blame and fix the problem. But this guy hit me. I blew up on him for about 5 minutes before a manager finally had the guts to come over and pull me away. I didn't have to pay for a new window as it was on video, but I lost my job because we are not supposed to yell and cuss at the customer. Edit. Holy shit. New year and Reddit gold. Thanks guys. I used to work in the restaurant industry as a chef. We had a closed kitchen at this particular spot, so customers couldn't see what was being done in the kitchen. It was nice because we could listen to music and joke around without having to worry. Anyways, one day I was alone on the line and a server came to me and said a customer wanted to give me his compliments. No problem. I put on my nicer jacket and went out to say hi. The customer thanks me, then tells me to come in closely because he had a secret. I was like, okay, sure. So I lean in a little, he motions me closer, I move in a little more. This guy then goes, I'll meet you in the bathroom in 5 minutes, and grabs my balls. I ducking lost it and shoved the dude. Got fired immediately. I used to work at pizza place in a small town when I was a teenager. One night I took a phone order from some idiot woman. It went like this. Me, thank you for calling pizza place. May I take your order? Yes, I'd like a large pizza. Half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, okay. Did you want the toppings combined or separated? No, I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, okay, so you want 1/3 pepperoni, 1/3 sausage, and 1/3 black olives? No. I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, I understand the toppings that you want, but I'm not understanding how you want us to put the toppings on your pizza. Do you want them separated by thirds, combined together, or do you mean put half the amount that we usually put on? What's so hard to understand? I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, lady, there's only 2 halves to a pizza. I want to speak to your manager. I got fired on the spot. It was easier for the manager to just hire another person than it was to lose a customer in a small town. Oh, and the lady wanted the toppings divided into thirds. She told the manager the same thing and he just went with her math. The beach also got it for free. Was a stockroom assistant at a well-known fashion chain in the UK and US. Didn't go off on a customer, but I bloody well wish I did now. Happened to be behind tills changing hangers boxes when a customer explodes at the trainee cashier demanding to know where her order was. Screaming her head off at how it's unacceptable I paid extra and how she made a specific detour to collect her package. She had ordered a jacket in another branch and had paid for next day delivery to the store I worked in. Customers aren't supposed to come collect their orders until they get an email saying their order is ready to collect. The poor cashier started last week and is basically cowering for dear life. I take over and ask to see her email, which she explains she doesn't need because she paid extra, so her package must be here. After 10 minutes of me trying to explain why her package isn't ready to collect and her trying to challenge Krakatoa, she storms off shouting that she'll be having words with the guy who owns our company. I hand back to the cashier and carry on with my day. The next day I'm prepping our delivery and I get called for a meeting with the store manager. Him told him being let go for gross misconduct, specifically being unhelpful and challenging to customers. Turns out the customer was a journalist for the Daily Mail and she called our head of company, who she did indeed know personally, and got me fired specifically. TL. Doctor tried to reason with a Daily Mail journalist. Got fired for her stupidity. Yay for logic. Edit. Her jacket did indeed come an hour after she left the store. She came back with her email. Sweet victory. Worked at GameStop as a game advisor. Some guy came in and had a figurative as load of games over 100 to trade, all with games and cases mismatched. It took about 45 minutes to process his ticket. When I told him the total, it was low because GameStop, and also they were all old, scratched games. This man then proceeded to try negotiate with me, to which I kept telling him I can't change the price, which only made him angrier and louder. Eventually he yelled, "Listen you stupid Ngana, I need at least $300 for all of this shit and you're going to give it to me. First of all, I don't even have the ability to change the price at all. Second of all, my co-worker proceeded to put all of his games in a bag, walk outside and tossed them into the parking lot, and told the guy to take his racist cousin ducking us somewhere else and to duck off. Store manager came out of the back room and fired him dead on the spot. The guy stormed out, and the second he left, my manager said, "Jesus, what was his ducking problem? Alright, get back to work." My co-worker didn't get fired, it was just theatrics for the racist cant. I felt like an idiot for just standing there, but it was taking everything I had to not hop the counter and hit the guy. No one was fired over this, but as a person in the service industry I thought I'd share this with my fellow industry folk, as I still think it's one of my favorite things I've ever seen happen behind a bar. I was once working at a beer bar in Sarasota, Florida. We were having a Dogfish Head total tap takeover and the place was at capacity. I mean, we're 3 deep around the entire bar. 4 guys behind this tiny bar, including the owner, all trying to pour as many beers as we can to cut through the line. At some point, a guy who had made eye contact with a number of times, who should have known he was coming up next, yells, "What does a person have to do to get a beer around here?" I watched our owner, a New Yorker through and through, turn around and literally yell, "Everyone shut the fuck up." The place goes dead quiet. And he stares at this guy. "What can I get for you, sir?" The guy was caught so off guard he just stared up at our tap list and mumbled. Our owner, knowing he didn't even have an order ready, looked him dead in the eye and said, "Fuck you. Next," and started serving the person next to him. I wanted to hug him so much for that. I didn't lose my job, but I think most people would have blown up at this guy, or cried. Fortunately I'm extremely calm and collected, and tough, from being bullied so much in middle school probably. I worked at a large retail store, and was stocking a shelf when an old, like 80+ man came up to me. I assumed he was going to ask me where something was, like every other customer. Instead, he started going off on me. Just insult after insult, telling me I'm disgusting, and all these things like that, because I have tattoos. Instead of blowing up at him, I thanked him for the compliments, sugar dripping from my voice. In my head I was saying you'll be dead soon, but out loud, I said something along the lines of, "I really love the color of your pants. Is that seafoam green polyester? I think the 1970s must have been so cool. Where did he even get those pants? A museum?" Well, apparently someone witnessed all this, because about 10 minutes after the guy gave up, my manager came up to me looking furious. I remember feeling a horrible sense of dread. He blew up, but not about how I handled it. He said I should have called him immediately, and he would have kicked the guy out of the store, and that I didn't deserve to be treated like that. What a great manager. I worked as a server at an upscale country club, and had these 2 gentlemen come in for lunch. One nodded and the other said, "It'll have exactly the same thing." So I confirmed that's what he wanted and he replied, "That's what I said, right?" I bring out their lunch and the second guy complains and starts getting rude with me because his lunch has onions on it. So I say, "Sir, you said you wanted the exact same thing, but I can have the chef make you another one." So he says, "Listen to me, you little ducking asshole. I know what I said, and I never said I wanted onions." So I reply, "If you ever speak to me like that again, you and I are going to step outside and work this out." He pisses and moans to see the manager, who unbeknownst to me is sitting at the table right behind these guys, having a meeting with another member. She turns around and tells the guy, "After the way you talk to my employee, I should let him. How about you both apologize and move on?" P.S. I didn't get fired, but thought I should share a story where a manager actually stands up for an employee. In hindsight, she probably should have fired me, because threatening violence on someone probably wasn't the best idea. Oh well, when you're 19 you think you're invincible.